Hello, everybody. I hope you're all safe and keeping healthy in these crazy times. My name is Mushahid, and this is the first episode of the Overseas Chitrali podcast series that I'm going to be working on. In this podcast series, I'm going to be connecting with some of my fellow Chitralis in Pakistan and kind of see what work they're doing to, motivate others, inspire others through their creative ways. You may be wondering what's a Chitrali. Put simply, Chitrali is a person from Chitral, and Chitral is a district located in the northern areas of Pakistan. It's filled with beautiful mountains, valleys, forests, kind of like Switzerland, essentially. Without the proper infrastructure, because it's still getting developed right now, but it's a beautiful area, beautiful place filled with amazing people like myself, of course, and like our guest here, Irfan Ali Taj. Irfan Ali Taj is a very talented songwriter as well as a singer from Chitral. And the thing that I find very interesting about his music, as opposed to so much music out there, is that he takes traditional folk Chitrali music, a traditional folk Chitrali style of music, and he combines it with the sounds of the city. And he does it in a unique way such that the traditional folk style of Chitrali music is not lost in modern instruments. It's not lost in the modern, way of making music. It still keeps, to its core and the essence of Chitrali music. So we'll get started. Irfan, thank you very much for coming on to this podcast or video podcast in these crazy times. I hope you're doing well in Pakistan.
Hello, Mushahid, and hello, everyone. I am doing great, and thank you so much for this opportunity. And, I was trying to find a way to, talk to the people overseas, especially, people of Chitral, the Chitrali, you may say. So, yeah, it's great, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are things in the, quarantine and COVID-19 era?
For musician, I guess it was nothing to be really afraid of. We are always, locked in our rooms, making songs and writing lyrics and things. So nothing really changed for me except for, the kind of chaos that we saw on the streets and, people getting panicked and obviously people, getting affected by Corona or COVID. So overall, the intensity of negative energy in the society increased, which actually gave artists an opportunity to reflect on it. So I guess artistically it was a time of exploration, it was a time of songwriting, but society had to go through a lot, and I don't know how long we have to go through. So I hope for the best, and I'm just trying to make the most out of this situation. We are locked in our rooms, so it's a great opportunity to write songs, to work on our own self and work on our passion, maybe.
I totally agree. I mean, you have to kind of make most of the terrible times that are happening. I think, I don't know, I was reading it somewhere that Isaac Newton invented calculus when there was a plague and he was forced to sit inside. So I mean, you can make the most of it, or you can, eat all kinds of food and gain weight, which some of us have done, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I
But
give
we
a
have, I have seen very positive thing also, because of COVID, especially in Pakistan. In city like Karachi, people were not really into health. They were not health conscious. But now I can see, plenty of people cycling every day. If I'm going into the roof, I see people on the roof playing badminton or, just passing balls and
yeah.
stuff like that. And it's very good thing too. And also, a lot of pollution was there in the air in metropolitan cities, which is now less. We have more rain, and things are getting better too. So there is always a positive side of this whole situation as
No,
well.
for sure. It's like when you get sick and you take a rest, your body gets better, right? So that's kind of how it is with Mother Nature as well, I guess. Um, so Irfan, I mean, I give a very brief introduction about you and what you do. So I mean, why don't you tell us all about what who you are, what's your history, and what is most importantly your story?
I usually get to this point where I have to talk about myself, and it's kind of difficult for me to talk about myself because for me I am someone else, and people see me as someone else. But in a best way, I can say I'm just a village boy from Upper Chitral Pasum, just telling my personal story with the world through music. And I discovered music when I was young, when I was actually very young. I was in my primary school when I saw a Khalifa playing, Gharba, which is a local folk instrument. And this kind of this new feeling, was coming when I was looking at the musical instrument, or I see folk people singing songs. And, I grew up listening to all that. And I had no inspiration from outer, world, whatever was going on. I remember, listening to Jagjit Singh for the first time, which was something
Oh, Jagjit
yeah,
Singh, I remember.
Jagjit Singh. So my dad used to listen to some of his ghazals, and I had these cassettes that I use, and I heard Jagjit Singh for the first time, and without a doubt, the tonality and the classical, notes coming out of his legendary voice was something really fascinating. And, I started singing along with him, and then I discovered other music. And then I thought, if a Chitrali person is, into music, then what can be possibly, the horizon he can explore. And unfortunately, despite having a lot of great artists in Chitral, no one had really made it to national level, which was actually hurting me, which was actually hurting because musician in our society, they don't get actually what they deserve, and they have to do a lot of other jobs. If you talk about the greatest artists in Chitral, they never were empowered, enough to, just survive on music. They couldn't do that, and which was actually a challenge for me, because my whole family history is, into education, and they were always into going into higher, degrees, universities, always like that. So it was difficult, but then again, education is very important. Education is important because it gives you, an edge, you can say. It gives you an edge if you understand it. If you're just taking education for job, then it's up to you. But if you are actually trying to be educated, then your rational attitude is, building up, your social skills are building up, and it's a great thing to go to university and socialize with people. So my movement from Chitral to Karachi was actually the best, thing that happened to me, because I was a villager and I came to a metropolitan city which had diverse people living here. I get to learn so many things from different people I was meeting, and throughout this educational process, music was just kind of a illusion type of thing going on. If I'm going to college, I remember going to Khan College in Karachi, and eventually, in the orientation session, I started, talking about my hobbies, and I mentioned to a teacher that I like to sing. So there I started singing, a little bit of other songs that, apart from the folk songs, and people actually liked it. And I remember graduating from Khan College, and I remember getting a shield which was saying the voice of AKHSS or something. So that gave me, this motivation that, even if I'm from a village where there is no proper facilities or infrastructure,
Mhm.
even then that is not an excuse to do something great. So then I went to, business school, and there I actually met the, what you can say, the people who are very privileged, you can say. For a Chitrali person coming into a university in Karachi, which has a good, ranking and stuff, there the most privileged people were coming. We were
Mm-hmm.
privileged because, we were educated enough to get a scholarship or something. So that's why we end up there. So I met the great, friends, amazing people who are now doing amazing things in their capacity. And there, I had the opportunity to explore more of music. I started playing with my friends. I became one of the students who end up being on the front page of the prospectus and stuff like that. Although I was very dumb in my business studies for sure, but I was doing something. I actually felt that now I have the opportunity to actually make something out of it, because I was in a city where things were available, where people who play music were available, where producers were there. So then obviously I was not really a great business student. That's why I tried doing job, but it couldn't really satisfy me. So one day I just took a U-turn while going to office, and I thought, okay, now it's the time and I should do something about my music. And that day I had to decide, either I am doing folk music or what exactly I'm going to do. And then I thought, okay, if I am doing music, then why not doing music which can have a better cause than just it's your hobby or something. So I thought, okay, I can start a new genre which can be called contemporary folk music of Chitral, which was basically because I had a friend, I had those friends which were all from the city. My friend Moaz Afridi, who I used to play with, was actually, he came from Canada as well, and he had also,
Mm.
interest in the contemporary music. So I had to create a bridge where contemporary music is meeting the folk music. So that's how this whole journey started. And it's just going on, and I'm learning more things. I'm just happy to even try to do something which is not really common in Chitral, being a musician and totally relying on it. And I feel really happy because youth is now taking art seriously. I see a lot of painters coming on. The other day I was just searching random things on Instagram, and I saw a photographer from my village, Mastuj, who
Mm.
is amazing, who was featured on Dawn News as well. Tribune में भी उसकी pictures आ रहे हैं. So it was just a good feeling that now people are taking art seriously, and now things are changing, and this change is very important. If you cope up with the change, then you can do bigger things. But if you try to stay in your own little box, then you will be making something disastrous for yourself. So this is how the journey is going on, and I don't know where I started, where I ended. So
All you know is where you are right now. Which
yeah,
is,
man.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting you say that that you're creating a bridge between traditional folk music and what the generation of now is kind of leaning towards. It's they're leaning towards more of hip hop or R&B, or more of Western impacted types of music, right? I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
personally myself am a huge fan of electronic music, right? Um, that's just because those kind of music have had such a great impact, but in while they're having such an impact, traditional folk music is kind of losing its essence. And when I think of Chitrali folk, music, I think of when people are just you recording it on their phone, and someone is playing a rabab inside their house. There's no like, good production for music. There's no like good music videos out there. um
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, like my parents are big, they listen to a lot of these traditional Chitrali music in the evening times, and all it's available is on YouTube, and it's people when they're recording it at weddings, or when they're recording it at someone's birthday, somebody's singing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like a big problem in that. But what you've done is, you've incorporated Kowar is the language of Chitral. So you've incorporated that, in the music, in a lot of your music, and you can really tell that, oh wow, this is something really interesting to listen to.
Yep, I learned in business school one of the things which I really use in my music. Actually,
Mm,
it's a secret, which is, I learned in my marketing subject that, if you're bringing something new, then it will definitely, penetrate the market.
mhm,
If your idea has this uniqueness, then it will go, beyond your expectation, actually. So I thought, if I incorporate Chitrali language, then it will be kind of alienated for all the people from Karachi, from Lahore, from Islamabad. And in this era, when you understand everything, you Google everything, you get to it, is easy, right?
mhm,
But having something which is actually pretty unknown to you and pretty hidden from you is actually innovation, right? So if you bring Chitrali, if I give my own example, I listen to African music, I listen to Tinariwen, I listen to Ali Fakra, I listen to people, and I don't know what they're singing. But
mhm,
this alienated feeling is something really cool. And
mhm,
I thought Chitrali language has that power, which has that sweetness from the Persian language, which has the Chitrali humbleness is in our linguistic.
mhm.
So if you combine all those things, then your music is innovative. It's something new to the air. If I
Yeah.
am listening to a Chitrali song in a well produced scenario, then I might get lost in it without even knowing it. And that was the innovation I used in my music, and that's actually working, and it's actually making me think more of innovation now.
Mhm.
Now I'm thinking to take it to a global level where I can collaborate with other international artists.
Oh,
And
nice.
sorry
No
sorry
worries, no
for
worries.
that.
It's the long hair that's
I
getting in
am
your way.
pretty on low maintenance here, I guess. Although I have a full-fledged studio downstairs, but unfortunately, our video shoot was going on, and I
Yeah,
couldn't do it over there. But
no worries. This is
anyways,
still good. No, it's interesting how you've taken what you've learned from business school, even though you said you were not a very good student, but you learned, right? That's knowledge. Yeah,
obviously, grades were not
that's
good,
right.
but knowledge was there.
That's all that matters at the end of the day. It's I'm something that I've been super curious about is sometimes people when you incorporate modern city sounds and modern instruments especially, they say like this is against our culture, this will take us away from our culture. And I've been curious about that because the music that they say it's their culture has been evolved from something thousands of years before that, and that's been evolved from thousands of years before that, and it will continue to evolve just as us humans, we evolve, we learn new things every day, we put it together and make something else.
Mhm.
So have you received any kind of backlash from people when they say, hey, this is not how our culture should be, or how things in our society should be? I can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
Any such, but but there is obviously, listen from someone that this guy was saying that, and some of the people who are older, who are from the our father's generation, they haven't seen music like we are producing it. So it's okay if they are thinking something which is uh, looking like criticism, but it's also acceptable when you look at it from their perspective. So I think I started doing music for the youth, and for people who can actually relate to it, who are
Mm-hmm.
the people on phone who have the thumb which is ready to take them to anywhere in the world. So I thought, okay, if I'm making music and if I'm getting in touch with the youth, then that is my success. So whatever negativity I get from the people
Mm-hmm.
uh, I understand it actually, because Chitral, you are also from Chitral. You cannot think of a fully produced song in Chapaldi, sitting
No,
in Dam
you
playing a
can't.
sitar. You will never be able to imagine a Chitrali sitar player who is playing for you in that room on a screen,
Mm-hmm.
which is something new to them. And it's
Yep.
okay for if you receive a criticism for that. I am definitely sure in this video, so many people will come and they will say, okay, if you're Chitrali people, why you're talking in English? But they have their own perspective, right?
Yep.
So you
Yeah.
have to respect that perspective as well. And I'm trying to upgrade them in a way where they can actually, there's a very thin line between, I mean, upgradation is a slow process. You cannot just upgrade someone quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm doing is, in my next album, I will be doing very simple sitar and just beat going on, some instrument playing on. Very simplistically, I'm presenting, some of the folk songs which I'm writing, and that is actually for older generation. And I
Mm-hmm.
may receive criticism from the younger generation, which may be expecting something else. But I also have to convince the older generation that there is nothing bad in doing music. If I give you example that if any of our sister is trying to be a singer, then it's very difficult for them because they haven't seen it like that. They haven't seen, girls coming to a musical night, which is happening at their own household. So it's
Yeah.
okay if they are slowly getting it to it, and it will definitely get to that. And that's how the music they play or they played was evolved from what you say, from
Yeah.
Central Asian countries. It traveled. And if you look at the Chitrali sitar, which I actually have it here, it's more of, you
Wait, can we
will,
can we can we see it?
yeah, I think I can show this to the world. So if
Aha.
you look at the Chitrali sitar, right? So if you look at its shape, its tuning, and its strings, and the whole,
Mm-hmm.
so it's actually the Central Asian sitar,
Yeah.
which evolved from Central Asia. So if someone is saying that you are actually doing wrong in bringing more instrument, that's actually they're denying the fact that Chitrali sitar has also come from the Central Asian
Yep.
countries. Before that, they might just be playing with duff or something, or dhol. And similarly, if you look at the dhol, the mama, and the surnai, which is the shenai of Chitral, the music, which is Moroccan king music,
Yeah.
evolved, and it became the music that they play in Chitral, the Dome family. So the Dome
Mm-hmm.
family, they actually, their roots are connected to the Moroccan, king music. If
Mm-hmm.
anyone want to, just go on YouTube and check Moroccan king music, you will see that there's a similarity between Chitrali, music and the Moroccan music. So it's all a process of evolution. And similarly, people are also evolving, instruments are also evolving, and now you will see rabab majorly in Chitrali music. It's okay, it's a new instrument which is sounding good. If something is sounding good, if you add it to a music, it's not destroying it, it's actually making it bigger, because there are people who will relate to it who are not Chitrali, who play rabab. So you are actually making Chitrali language connecting to Central Asian roots. And also rabab is highly, famous these days in all the other genres of music. And so people are actually getting to explore these music, and that's how you make your language and your music actually preserved. It's not destroying anything, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually being preserved. There is a more documentation of it. Now I'm thinking to start this initiative called Seymour, which is actually to collect all the archives, the musical archives of Chitral, which were not collected before, which were not registered before. So I am collecting all those archives and I'm publishing them globally, and I'm giving full rights to the artist. They will get royalties, and
Mm-hmm.
so that the thing they did in the past, if they start paying them, if it's giving them a surety that it's actually a professional field, then things will be changed in Chitral, and then you will see a lot of studios, a lot of production houses in Chitral as well. And already youth is doing that.
No, for sure. I think like initiatives like that need to happen more and more, so that like people are not just focusing on academics. I mean, growing up, we were told, the saying, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे बनोगे नवाब खेलोगे कूदोगे बनोगे खराब. Yeah, so that essentially, for the listeners, that translates to, if you study and if you work hard, you'll become a lord, and if you play and you have fun, you will be, but kharab would, what, terrible, you'll have a terrible life, or you'll be a bad person. So I mean, I've heard that from uncles, from teachers, from mentors, from everyone. And because of that, people are so focused on, academics, which is fine. I mean, if you want to go into academics, that's okay too. Like I myself am super strict into academics. I'm going to do my master's now in computer science with machine learning, and how the brain works. That's fine too. But I mean, you shouldn't say these kind of things so that people don't pursue other things like music or even sports. um, so I think more of these initiatives need to happen. And again, with time, it will happen. People will change the way they think. People will be more open to it. And the fact that they can now say that, hey, I'm able to earn some money from this, it'll encourage them more to do it, because they need to get money. They need money to, like, for food and things like that. I
True.
really, yeah, I really wanted to, like, ask you about, in a lot of your music, you have you have inspiration from, not just the physical life all around you, right? Things you can touch and feel, like trees or mountains or air, but you have,
uh,
hello?
my mother is calling me again and again, and
Is
I'm
everything is,
not
is
sure.
everything okay?
No, everything will be okay, but we usually talk every day, so we,
Oh, snap.
but it's okay. I'll call her later on, but just go
Okay.
on.
Well, I'll give her my regards later on. I
Sure.
was gonna say that, you have a lot of these influences from, physical things around you, but you also have an element of spiritual or esoteric kind of, feel in your music. What made you, incorporate that into your music or get inspired by it?
So in Chitral, we actually enjoy the religious side of society as well, right? So if you talk about our household and our daily routine, then obviously in your routine there is a routine for religious studies, and things like that. So from childhood, again, it was also because of music, because I was good in, recitation. So my family, they make me, recite those qasidas and recite dua and
Oh, I lost you there. I think you're on mute. I can't hear you. Wait, hold on. You're on mute.
I was again receiving a call, man. Sorry.
No worries. For those of you who don't know, dua is prayer, and kasida is, like,
Persian
religious
poetry of
Persian
the
poetry. Yeah.
Sufis. So
Sorry. Yeah.
yeah,
Continue.
so I was really into this qasidas and things. So it gave me an opportunity to even take that as a very positive thing in my life from very childhood. I knew why religion is important. I knew why reading these Sufi poets is important, and it was actually shaping my personality. I remember being in my secondary school, but I was already teaching kids at the night school, the religious school that we have. So I was living in proper Chitral, the city Chitral, and we used to gather these students from the city and take them to Jamaat Khana once a week, where we used to teach them these religious things and the Sufi stuff. So I had to also study myself just for that for the sake of teaching the kids. So
Mm-hmm.
that gave me an opportunity to learn all the Sufi poetry, which I actually now looking forward to produce as well. I am actually starting a series where I will only make the qasidas, and one of them is releasing next in a next couple of months, which is called Talib Wahdat. So I was always into Sufism and the spiritual growth of a person, along with the worldly thing that we have going on. And yeah, so this spiritual journey is actually, I say, has been very important in my life, because I write my songs because of all the poetry I have learned in my subconscious mind. Those beautiful lines from Pir Shams Tabriz or Pir Nasir Khusro
Mm-hmm.
or Fariduddin Attar. So these all the things were actually, there were two paths which I was following, and it was not always a smooth path for the spiritual thing. Obviously, there were time when I was not really into it. I was going against it actually. There
Mm-hmm.
were times when I was questioning everything, but that's also part of the process, and that's also part of the exploration of the Sufi things. So yeah, my music is now all around that
Mm-hmm.
Sufi stuff, and with age, with maturity, you become more conscious about all these things, and through music I am very critically looking at where music can go wrong, because every good thing can be really bad as well if you wrongly use it. So music is a very pure thing for me. Music has always been a very spiritual thing for me. That's why I look very seriously into it when I'm making music, because it's actually going to
Mm-hmm.
deliver some message to other people. So this whole thing is a long process of exploration and long process of uh, studying all these artists, the poets and all the writers which shaped my life. And
Mm-hmm.
now I feel like there is a very important need of it to communicate with the rest of the world, and especially the youth of our own area, because they are not really into it. Now there are mobile games. Now there it's an era of digital thing. So I feel very you know I feel actually the youth is not taking the actually the heritage in a way
Mm-hmm.
they should take it. And there is a serious need of such conversation even about all these things, and that's why I do it.
Yeah, it's interesting because when people think of, they say Islam, and they associate that with not music. Whereas,
Mm.
if you look at throughout history, the influence of Sufi poetry, Sufi music, it's had a big impact on music all around. um
Mhm.
and it's great to see how you've taken spiritual aspects of the religion and kind of incorporated that into your music. And it's not like the music is music, it's not like you're forcing people to convert to a particular
No.
religion, right? You're taking what you've experienced from that religion, and then you're telling that, hey, look, this is what I experienced, this is what I went through, with a little bit of music in the background, essentially, which is
That's
really
true.
cool, and which is really nice, and which a lot of people don't tend to do. I mean, there are some types of music, the lyrics don't even make sense. Uh, they talk about shooting cops, or there's just some strange lyrics that you can't even understand the first time you hear it. And
Yeah,
it's kind of nice to see, to see that, hey, there's also still people making music which has meaning behind the lyrics, which has meaning even behind the music itself. um so yeah, that's I know it's very interesting to see that still. um and when people are like, but the thing I really don't like is when people associate a certain look with a religion. If you say, you belong to a certain religious group, or you're a practicing religious person, they look at you and they're like, hey, you don't seem like you belong to this religion, and that's really irritating. I'm sure
Hmm.
you get that a lot, right? When you tell people, what influences your music.
Yeah, that's actually true. And I always feel very reserved when uh, I initially I didn't tell anyone that I am really into the Sufi stuff, and I am really
Mm-hmm.
into reciting Quran and stuff. So if I always projected this way, that if I one day, if I wake up and I feel like, I recite Quran and put it on my social media, then I
Mm-hmm.
know there are people who are going to say that, musician cannot do all these things, and they have this perspective that, when you're playing music, you cannot be religious. I have seen musicians who are praying 5 times a day. I live in a place where my friends, they pray 5 times a day, but they play music. They know what music is, and what the impact of music is on the society. So if you look at any profession now in Pakistan or in anywhere in the world, in every profession there is a darker side and there is a white side of it. So
Mm-hmm.
music is also same thing. If you're crossing your limits and if you're crossing your ethics, then it's wrong. It's definitely wrong. If you are hearing it and it's giving you a kind of hatred for anyone or any specific community, or if it's talking about something which is not useless, which is not useful actually. And as Hazrat Ali says that zarurat se zyada har cheez haram hai. So if it's not serving the purpose, then it's haram, and if it's serving
Mm-hmm.
the purpose, then it's not haram actually. And even if I tell you a very a better understanding, then Allah also says that a sajda, if goes wrong, can take you to dozakh. So
Mm-hmm.
even sajda can be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
So every pure most thing you tell me which has no wrong side. So
Mm-hmm.
music is also like that, but unfortunately in the Islamic side of the world, we take music, not just really Islamic side of the world, to be very honest, in South Asian countries, South Asian countries or Asian countries, they think that music is completely haram, but it's
Mm-hmm.
actually not. If you look at the names of Allah recited by the Arabic guys, it's actually harmonizing. They are using harmony concept, they are using melody concepts, and they are actually playing a specific rag for the
Mm-hmm.
recitation of that. So obviously, music was always there. Music is always there, and it's gonna be there for sure. And if you look at the idea of calling Hazrat Bilal from far land to,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Makkah or Medina to recite just the azan is actually, the admiration of the art that he had. So music was always there, and it's slowly going to be different. And because in Pakistan, even if you ignore it, everyone is musical. So how long they can deny it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just the saturation point that's going to come, and then everyone will be like, yeah, it's not actually haram.
I think, yeah, it'll take some time. Well, not
Yeah,
some, but
time.
like quite some time, for everyone to be okay with it. Yeah. So, looking at where you started music from and where you are right now, there's some people who, especially Chitralis, who want to get into music now, who want to produce good quality music. What are like, do you remember what's mistakes you made at the start getting into it, that you could probably tell them to avoid?
I think the biggest mistake would be, not learning every day. Apart from that, nothing is gonna, stop you. Even if you are not producing anything, if you just sit in Chitral riverside and you play an amazing, piece of music on your sitar, it's gonna go, to the masses. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I know right now, because without learning, you are like you don't have wheels, man. You don't have the stamina to run for mile. You will
Mm-hmm.
just be there for a few kilometers and then you will be like done. So learning is actually missing in Chitral. There is no musical institute or something. The schools are not actually focusing on art, and the artists themselves, they don't actually are progressing. They're in a learning side of it. So if you don't study, if you don't know what you're playing, then you will not be able to communicate it. If you cannot
Hmm.
communicate it, then you are stuck there. You're at a certain point and you're not progressing. And for progress, learning is very important. A major hurdle that most of these producer and most of the people who are trying to collaborate with folk artists, they
Hmm.
always say that yeah, it's difficult to work with them because they cannot communicate the language of music. So if the youth is into music, then the first thing I would say is, if you are into music, then pick up a instrument you like, or whatever you want to do with it. Either you are a vocalist, or either you are playing bass, or either you are a percussionist or something. So just go dig every knowledge that is in there and try to learn that. If you learn that, then obviously you will be a different person, and then you will be able to actually tell people what you're doing, and
Hmm.
that's going to take your music to the world. And I think initially I also had this issue. I didn't know much about music, but I had this awareness that you have to learn music. That's what I can say. I was lucky enough to be in urban city where I had to meet those amazing musicians I work with. And through people you learn different things, and uh, explore your own abilities. So there is nothing which is stopping art. There is only one thing that can stop art, which is not learning it.
Yeah, you've had some interesting collaborations, right? With like
Hmm.
Zoe Vikaji. I mean, amazing voice, beautiful singing, and you guys, did an excellent job there too. I think like collaborating with people who other people, who are also very passionate helps too. Yeah, I was listening to Ibn Adam a while back, and I kept listening to it on loop and loop and loop. And it's interesting because every time you listen to it, you get like a new interpretation of the song, or you relate it to,
Hmm.
things in your life in a different way. And then you listen to it again, and then you can relate to something else in life. So like, yeah. So when I was listening to it, it gave me a lot of insights about myself, and my journey as a human being here, right, being alive. And when you were coming up with that song, when you were writing the lyrics, even before you produced it, what was going, like, what inspired you to come up with that?
I think the realization factor that the conflict that which was going inside me,
Yeah.
between the perspective of wrong and right, which actually says in the description of the song as well. It's about the inner conflict. So I had this inner conflict going on, which was everywhere around. I think everyone go through this phase of life where you have no concrete idea about your own self. You have no concrete idea about what you're going to do. You have no concrete idea about God. And in the lyrics you will also see the desperation of talking to the God about your problems and things. So the whole scenario was really, you can say, dark. And I know, and I knew that it was all because of my own mistakes. So the song Ibn Adam hu main galtiyon ka putla kya karoon is actually, it's a question that what should I do. It's not like ke Ibn Adam hu main galtiyan to karta rahunga. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's like main kya karoon. It's a faryad to the God.
Mm-hmm.
It's a faryad to the universe, because at that moment I really really was not actually uh, I had lost the belief in God as well, to be very
Mm-hmm.
open. And I was actually talking to the universe that इस गलती को किस तरह सही की जा सकती है. If God is inside me, then why He is not guiding me? That was a
Mm-hmm.
question. And also, the moment I felt like I didn't deserve it, but now I know that there was an important part of my life that shaped me to explore more about myself, to look into the mirror and see myself as a different person. So this song is all about that. And the outro of the song, I wrote it recently, which
Mm-hmm.
sum up the whole idea of it, right? The end of the part is actually the realization factor that it's okay to have problems. It's okay to go through, a change which is not actually clear, or to go through a time where you have questions about everything, even about your own self. That's actually okay too. So youth nowadays are really not actually putting efforts in their lives, the kind of efforts that we had to put as a
Mm-hmm.
child, or as a when we were growing up. We had to travel to Karachi and do your own stuff and things like that. We have been through stuff that actually helped us. So going through problem is easy, but now you see in Chitral there is a high suicide rate, in
Yes,
youth.
I wanted to actually talk
It's
more about that. It's crazy. Every couple of months, like when my parents are talking to someone back home, or I'm talking to someone back home, they say somebody killed themselves, and it's crazy. Um, I think the last one I heard was like a month ago, and then that person's brothers also have committed suicide, and it's crazy. That, it's happening so much in Chitral.
Yeah, because it's not discussed there, right? So we have seen small problems, but we have no idea about mental issues.
Yep.
So if children are forced to do things which they don't like, if I remember, I actually went to school in Chitral city. It's I don't want to take the name of it, but it's actually every school in Chitral which is actually like that. So they are beating student at young age was very okay at Chitrali school, right?
Mm-hmm.
In every part of Pakistan, in any rural society, you will see that hitting students with a stick or something is
Yeah,
very common.
I've been there. I
You have
studied
been there.
I've
You have.
studied in Palmer Public School in grade 3, and I remember we had the a Quran teacher, and every you have to recite the parts of the Quran in front of him and in the class, and if you would mispronounce a word, he would take a pen and he would hit you right here every time, and he would keep hitting, keep hitting, keep hitting, and like, and that's the
Can
very
you believe it's third grade? Third
I know,
grade,
third year you're beating a
when your
student.
brain is actually shaping, when your brain is coming together, and you are giving those kind of trauma to the kids.
Yes.
And 3 years ago, I guess I received a video in a group. Our school friends, we had a group. So one of our friends, he sent a video on a WhatsApp group saying that, look at the kids, they're getting beaten by a teacher, and do you remember your school days? So it's already normalized, right? So my
Yeah.
friend, rather than stopping it, he is actually making video and sending to friends for fun, is actually the how we generalize these things in the society. So I saw the video and I put it on social media saying that it's wrong, and in 4 hours that guy was arrested, right? So there is no
Nice. Yeah.
idea of wrong and right when you're growing up. When you're a kid, your school teacher, even your parents, they don't have idea about parenting. In Chitral, there is a huge gap between kids and
Yes,
parents.
I think like the before people have kids, they should take like they should read books on parenting, they should take a course in parenting. So I've studied in Canada as well and in Pakistan. And in Canada, in grade 9 or grade 10, you have to take a parenting course where you learn
Hmm.
about how to deal with kids, and they give you this baby doll, and you have to take care of it. So if you don't take care of it, it starts crying, and then you have to take care of
Hmm.
it. So yeah, these are very important things that they should be communicated, that people it's okay to learn to become a parent. It's normal, you should learn to become a parent. You're not, the day you have a kid, it's not like you're a perfect parent. You will make
Hmm.
mistakes, which is fine, but you should learn from them. And how you treat your kids at a very young age, that's how they treat others around them as they're growing older and older.
Yeah. So yeah, the actually thing I was actually talking about is coming to the point that, what should these kids do, right? The question is, what is the solution of it?
Mm-hmm.
How can we solve this problem? So I feel like, communication is the key. In think about it, that a school going kid is so afraid of telling a failure to a father, he or
Mm-hmm.
she, you know, choose to go and run into the river. That is easy for them, instead of, telling their family.
Yeah.
So we have to create this bridge where kids can talk to their, parents. So I would really appreciate even you, people like you who are doing these kind of, talks. They can actually do a lot of things with the parents. They
Mm-hmm.
can bring children and parents on the same forum and talk about these problems. So that can actually solve it. And also, the very important thing is, the youth should also understand that these problems are okay. It's okay to fail a course.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at Irfan and Taj right now, or Mushahid, they have been through failures, right?
Yes.
I came to Karachi. I was really good in my studies from childhood. My parents, everyone, my relatives will be really happy that, I score good at school. But later on, I came to Karachi. In the first year, I failed the first year exam. So it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to fail a course, or it's okay to even fail a whole year. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be dropped out for, 3 years. I have done that.
Mm-hmm.
It has not hurt me. I am not dying because of hunger. I am
Mm-hmm.
not, mistreated by the society just because I failed few courses. So failure is okay.
I, I
Problems are okay.
I think there's also an element of like bringing shame to the family. So then they're, I remember, well, luckily this didn't happen to me, but I've seen like other parents talking to their children saying that if you don't get an A or if you don't get first division, then you're bringing shame to the family. And there's so
Yep,
much pressure on the kid. And I've seen kids, get into drugs because of this at a very young age.
that's absolutely right.
And it's insane. And they're skipping class because they don't want to deal with the pressure of the family and school. It's insane. There's so many factors. There's like mental factors, psychological factors, pressure from home. And I don't even think this is just in rural areas. So the university that I went to, here during our first semester, my first semester, somebody killed himself because of pressure from thing. And it's this university is known to have a lot of suicides. It's insane. Like every semester somebody's killing themselves. My
Hmm.
friend's roommate, he locked himself inside his room, and he killed himself because of pressure from university, and nobody found out where he was. His parents were calling, he wasn't picking up, and then they opened the door and he was dead inside. So I mean, it's parents and anywhere should first understand that their child is in a university or in a school. There's already pressure, like
Hmm.
academic wise, and they
Yeah.
should kind of be a little comforting to their kids.
Yeah, also the kids have to think that, life is not just that easy. It's
Yeah,
hard, and you have to struggle also, and it's okay to struggle. And if you just think that if there was no struggle, then what would happen?
yeah,
You will get bored of it, right?
yeah.
So
Like,
struggle is good thing, problems are good thing, and problems actually give you more opportunities as well. If you think
mm-hmm,
about COVID, and you just sit in your room and start thinking about the depressing side of it, then you will get depressed, and you will
mm-hmm,
end up killing yourself, thinking that the world is ending.
mm-hmm,
But if you think at the positive side, then you can work on yourself. You can start reading a book, or learn an instrument or
mm-hmm,
something. That's it, taking positive out of it. So we all go through problems, especially when you are growing up, when you are going to university, meeting new people. And also in Chitral, you see that because of this whole pressure by teachers, by parents, by relatives, you have to keep up the expectation of the whole village actually. So
mm-hmm,
it's very hard on these kids, and they always have this shyness in them.
mm-hmm,
I initially had this shyness. I was always curious about if I will say something wrong, the no attitude that we build in our kids by saying, no, don't do that, no, don't do that. I
Mm-hmm.
remember simple things, you pick up something from the household, is trying to play, and they'll be like, don't do that, don't play. If you are going for a football match in the village, they will say, don't go. So the no attitude is so strong in our brain that when these kids, they travel to cities like Karachi, like Lahore, then they feel like, they are left out. They
Mm-hmm.
feel shy, and they feel, they cannot express themselves. And this is another reason, because university going students are doing suicide. So
No,
so
I'm telling you, it's the long hair. You have to cut it
I
off.
know I'm gonna do that really soon, because I have to go home too, and you know that
Yes,
I
you
am
have.
still a Chitrali boy. I'm still
Yes,
afraid of the
yes.
things.
You'll have to cut your hair
So
when you go back.
yeah, see, now we're talking about it. This is
See,
rooted. This is rooted in
for
us,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Although it's not like that. They don't say anything about my hair. But anyways, so yeah, we have to start this communication with the parents, with the
Mm-hmm.
teachers. And I actually think that, youth who are actually aware of all these things, when they're going for vacations, when people like you are coming back to Chitral, then everyone can do this. Everyone can, if they have the capability to go and talk to someone, they can talk to the parents. If you see a child, who is looking problematic, then try to talk to them, and give them a space where they can come and meet each other, make more friends, get comfortable with someone else, and talk to them about their problems. So this
Mm-hmm.
communication is very important. Chitral is a narrow land between two mountains.
Mm-hmm.
The geographically, if you look at Chitral, it's a narrow thing. So if a narrow, thin line is your land where you live, then your thinking is also going to be very
Mm-hmm.
limited, because you're not going out and see a lot of strange faces every day. You
Mm-hmm.
don't see any uncomfortable dude trying to make you uncomfortable on the roadside. That is also an important side of it. Yeah, right. If you lock a child in a very clean, very well furnished room for a whole year, then their autoimmune disease is going to rises up,
Mm-hmm.
right? So their immunity is going to go down. So it's in the same way, if you are just locked in a specific society and you're not going out. Think about your people in Chitral who are living in Upper Chitral. They don't travel. They don't go to
Yep.
Shandur just for fun. They don't go to the mountain just for fun. They go there with the animal as work,
For work, yeah.
but they will not enjoy it, right? So
Yep.
this sense of fun, sense of happiness is missing in our society. They are actually looking happy, but there is missing things which we have to communicate to people.
No, for sure. Like people, who live in the cities, they travel to these places. They're like, oh wow, there's such beautiful mountains. The trees are so nice. But people in Chitral, that's where they're living every day.
Yeah,
They should take some time out to appreciate the beauty that's around them as well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
so
interesting.
obviously, if you wake up every day and you can see Terich Mir in front of your house,
Mm-hmm.
then one day you'll be like, yeah, okay, it's just a mountain, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
don't enjoy it. So that is the thing, that, happiness is not by searching it, happiness by living it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
start living, you start, being happy in whatever situation you are. So
Mm-hmm.
people in Chitral also have to realize that. I remember
Mm-hmm.
one of our relatives, they came to Karachi, and they had to live here for a long time. And then one day the guy was like, yeah, man, I used to think that, we are locked in Chitral, and it's not something really cool here. We are just in here in this part of the world which is not really connected to the other areas. So he was like, I was always negative about living permanently in Chitral, but now I
Mm-hmm.
realize how people are living in city. People are living their whole life in an apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are living their whole life in a rented apartment.
Mm-hmm.
So we have amazing things in Chitral which can be enjoyed by
Mm-hmm.
people. And one day I would like to see, Kailash. I go there and I want to see so many families camping there, having fun with their whole
Mm-hmm.
household.
Yeah.
It's always enjoyment for the males in Chitral. If there is a
Yes.
musical night, it's for the male group. If there is, any decision making process which is going also through the males, if there's a picnic, it's for male. Shandur Polo Festival, it's for male. Everything is, so segregated
Mm-hmm.
that, this segregation is killing these kids, and not just kids, the older people are, they are also depressed. They are
Mm-hmm.
also having anxiety issues, anger issues, blood pressure, heart disease are increasing in Chitral.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a lot of things which we have to do, unfortunately, and I'm happy that people are now aware enough to actually work on it, and people are actually doing it. There are youth. I can mention names like uh, uh, Karishma, who is a
Yes.
football
Yeah.
player who ended up being the I think top 30 under 30
Yeah.
from
Top
Asia
30 under 30 like achievers, I believe, on Forbes.
achievers. So
Yeah.
it's a huge thing, right? So
That's
but
that's that's
now,
that's pretty insane. I mean, it's like two factors, right? A, that she's a woman, and also in sports, these
yeah,
two big things. And I believe she had a lot of like opposition from like different people, especially like particularly males. And it's
yeah.
great that she's really pushing forward, and she's really trying to move things forward.
Yeah, definitely. Now more youth are making art
Mm-hmm.
available for elders as well. The other day I saw another video where the idea was conversation with
Mm-hmm.
people, and some older guys were doing it, and it's such a good sign that now
Mm-hmm.
people are talking about it, and social media is such a good forum. And I see a lot of useless things from Chitral side. When you talk about social media
Mm-hmm.
content and everything, there are so many rubbish going on social media, and instead of those, if we start producing, or if we start making videos which can actually contribute in shaping these things, and in making life a little bit easier for people. And maybe there are youths who are into making dramas on social media, which is
Okay.
also a very good sign.
Oh,
They Shayli Chitral and
yes.
something,
Yeah.
and these guys are also trying to communicate these things through the funny videos they make.
Yeah.
So I think in the coming year, if the youth remains motivated and hopeful, then things will be better for them.
Yeah, I think there's like two sides. It came with like the advancement in technologies, like cell phones, smartphones, right? You can record things right away, or you can have access, like you said, with the push of a thumb, right? But there's also
Yeah.
like the negative sides of it, right? If you're using it to, I don't know, I attended a conference here once, and they were talking about advancement of technology, and they said that you can use uh technology to get information like this, like with the push of a button, but you can also use it to look at 100 pictures of cats or 100 funny cat videos, right? I mean, sure, that's not something that's terrible, but there's like you can use social media to be like a troll on the internet. And like I'm sure you've come across this, people
Yeah.
just spreading negativity through technology, right? That's
Hmm.
kind of a bad side too, of technology.
I recently had to, go through a lot of problems with this guy who is a Chitrali guy, but who lives in Canada.
Mhm.
But sitting in Canada, he is actually doing such things, which is very negative, which is actually making people fight in Chitral for useless reason,
Mhm.
because he's just posting things on social media which are, controversial.
Mhm.
So people are using social media in a very wrong way. But if you shift, you know, and if you increase the positive content on social media, then it will actually dominate the negativity,
Mhm.
and people will get to know that, oh, there
Mhm.
is a positive side of social media as well. Then the parents will also get involved in it, and they will also see what their children are saying, what their problems are. So I think social media can be one of the ways,
Mhm.
to eradicate this problem.
No, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree. Irfan, thank you very much for having the call with me. I think we're way over the time, but I guess that's what happens, when you're having a good conversation. time
True,
goes by really
true.
fast.
It
Yeah,
was really nice, man. I really enjoyed it, and I really enjoyed talking to you
for
and
sure.
talking about these things.
No, yeah, I mean these are there's we should spread positivity, but we should also shed light on the negative things that are happening, right? We can't just
Yeah,
close our eyes and say no, they're not happening. Everything is
no,
perfect. No, it's not. Once we shed light on these things, we can, start talking about them, raising awareness, or even doing something about them.
yeah.
Yeah, once again, thank you very much. Give my regards to your mom. Sorry for
You
holding
too.
up your call. Yeah,
No
thank you
problem.
very much once again.
Thank you so much for
Yep.
having me.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.